Welcome to Worldwide Business. I'm Kathy Ireland. In today's competitive marketplace, it's important for an enterprise to define and improve their workflow in order to achieve and sustain optimal performance levels. Business Enterprise Mapping has a unique approach to business process improvement. Partners Joe Bockerstette and Don James are here to talk about their method. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hi, Kathy. Thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you very much for having us on board.
Well, Joe, can you please describe the challenges that organizations face in regard to workflow?
Yeah, the primary challenge that we see in organizations today is the inability to execute to leaders' intentions. That can express itself in dissatisfied customers, long lead times, high costs, unhappy employees, and the fundamental underpinnings to that is a lack of control of workflow. And so we hear from customers, clients, when the frustration levels are high, they know there's a problem, they're not exactly sure what to do about it.
And Don, will you please highlight how business enterprise mapping is empowering companies with a competitive advantage?
Yeah, we strongly believe that the subject matter experts are already within the business. What we do is work with them and we provide them the tools, the method, the Paragon method, and really the education necessary to help define their processes, sustain them, and continuously improve those processes. That's basically what we do.
Joe, please tell us more about business enterprise mapping and what do you do for your clients?
Well, so we partner with client employees to define, improve, align, and deploy new workflows. We leave them with a business management system in place that not only creates short-term results, but also creates lasting performance improvement.
And Don, would you please share the most common opportunities that you see in today's organizations?
Yes, in fact, 75% of all business opportunities rely on broken processes. These include things like process not defined. Even if it is defined, it's not followed. And in some cases, in many cases, the process is not effective itself.
Don, will you please explain why these opportunities exist?
Yes, 75% of all business problems are process related, mainly breakdown in process and business controls. These fall into the categories of the process actually not being defined itself. Even if it's defined, it's not followed. Right. And in many cases, the processes themselves are not effective. The second largest problem we encounter, about 20%, lies in the processes don't work well together. They're not connected seamlessly, again resulting in breakdown. The final remaining 25% of problems within a business are things like people are not trained or educated, the tools are not sufficient, or in fact the environment is not conducive to workflow. Funnily enough, well, it's not funny that businesses really focus on that latter part and really miss the core, the foundational part of business improvement.
And Joe, may I ask how most organizations try to overcome these workflow issues?
Yeah, interestingly, typical organizations fall into a trap that we call the superhero syndrome. Now, the superhero syndrome is where an organization hires high-performing talent, typically an expensive kind of person, and it tries to attack the process efficiency by creating firefighting teams, brute forcing through the problem, creating their own process, whatever it may be. Or in addition, you'll find organizations often reorganize new personnel to try to solve the problem, to try to find different people that can address it. Ultimately, at the end of the day, superheroes can't overcome bad business processes.
Joe, can you specify how business enterprise mapping solves these problems differently?
Yes, we approach this problem very differently than most organizations. If you think of a business as a large puzzle, there's maybe 4,000 pieces to a business that are the task of work that take place in that business. Now, what business enterprise mapping does is we structure those 4,000 puzzle pieces into a logical workflow-based structure with business systems, business processes, and tasks. And by working with the people on the front line to do the work, to improve the work, we're able to take that jumbled bunch of puzzle pieces, make sense out of it, and then streamline it, improve it, and deploy a better process out of that exercise.
Don, can you please tell us what uniquely sets business enterprise mapping apart from other process improvement consulting firms?
I think one of the main successes of our businesses, we've been doing it for over 25 years. This is really our core competency. We've seen a lot of opportunity over those 25 years, seen a lot of problems, and we've seen a lot of solutions. Unlike some initiatives that we see that come and go, we really educate the people to follow those processes. They're sustainable and they're continuously improved.
Right. And Joe, what is the Paragon method?
So the Paragon method is a proprietary method that we've developed over this 25 years of solely building business systems and process maps. And the Paragon method is comprised of 4 essential elements that work together to make it particularly effective. Number 1, we use a workshop approach where we use a very hands-on interactive exercise with client personnel, creating specific deliverables out of those workshops that solve problems. Number 2, we have a unique set of business diagrams, process maps, and icons and flows that create particularly strong insights into the business and are very diagnostic in solving business problems. Number 3, we engage client employees. It becomes a very viral exercise as clients get sucked into the notion of being asked about their business, how the work flows in their business, and how they can improve their business. And then finally, we have certified program directors who simultaneously facilitate these group workshops while interactively drawing diagrams and maps right in front of the group and together crafting these deliverables that are addressing these problems.
Right. And Don, can you please describe the power behind Paragon maps?
The power is in its simplicity. There we draw basically engineering schematics of businesses. They're logical, they're easy to understand and follow, and they're very easy to deploy. And that's really been our focus for a long time. And we continuously improve those as we see business challenges. And so the program and the actual Paragon methodology continuously improves. Unlike some other initiatives that really come and go, we sort of educate the people, they follow it, and ultimately it becomes a part of their culture and their business. So continuous improvement becomes a way of life.
Joe, could you please share a couple of brief business examples of how your approach transformed enterprises?
Yeah, so because Paragon is such a foundational building block to running a business better, it can be used in a wide variety of circumstances, company sizes, types, and situations. For example, we have a healthcare client who needed to improve their in-network referral rates, and so we were able to work with them to specifically address a performance problem where they needed a solution. We have a banking client who needed to map the entire enterprise for purposes of addressing a federal regulatory challenge that they had. In addition, we have, let's say, a manufacturing company that has used Paragon in their entire enterprise and is also using Paragon with their customer base specifically to create tighter alignment with their customers and a greater competitive advantage in their marketplace.
And Don, please tell us how long it typically takes for companies to see results.
Well, the program itself is designed to produce results as it's being deployed, but typically 30 to 90 days is quite common. And what we do during that period as we're developing and working with the client, we uncover opportunities. We have a saying, a red cloud, which is we've identified an opportunity. And believe it or not, 50% of these can actually be solved within that 30 to 90 day time frame. So
that's extraordinary. It's wonderful. Joe, can you please describe the range of industries that have benefited from business enterprise mapping?
Yeah, so Business Enterprise Mapping is an international firm. We've worked with over 300 enterprises, 60 different industries, and 12 different business systems inside those different clients. And so interestingly, we're often asked when we start work with a new client about the industry experience that we have with other clients that they may be familiar with. Right. And we caution them because what we offer up is that more than likely the experience and the best practices that we've learned from other businesses will be far more valuable to their improvement efforts. We consider ourselves business system specialists, not industry specialists. So we've seen business systems across a variety of industries and can use that expertise.
And Don, what's most rewarding to you about this work?
The most rewarding part is actually working with the clients themselves, really uncovering those opportunities together and finding ways and methods really cooperatively to address those. And I think it's working with people, and because people are the problem solvers, you just need to give them the right tools.
Right. I mean, it must be so empowering for individuals within companies to be empowered to do this work rather
Yes.
than hiring out.
Right, exactly. As I said earlier, the expertise is there as a resident.
Right.
It really you just really need to work with them and give them the methods necessary to solve their business problems. They're very keen, they're very enthusiastic, and that even makes it even more exciting on a client engagement.
How difficult is it to recognize these gifts and strengths within people?
You know, interestingly, we will find frequently that client employees will show up to the early workshops pretty resistant to what's taking place and pretty skeptical about what's going on. Because of the nature of the facilitation and the way we map and we express the workflows in organizations, they can very quickly get into the flow of the workshop and exercise itself. We'll find that other employees will start wandering into the room, and people will come away asking, when can I do this in my area? And so it becomes a very engaging exercise. Folks are asked many times for the first time exactly how do you do your job, how does that job relate to others around you, and how does that connect for the betterment of the entire organization. This is new to a lot of organizations.
Right.
Yeah, if I can add to that point, they're used to really the initiative du jour, and they come very skeptical, which is sometimes a challenge for us. And quite often, what they're faced with is old methods, things like standard wordy operating procedures, or in fact antiquated swim lane diagrams that were really never designed for workflow, and they're basically using old tools. And we actually give them very simple tools to use, which they really engage with, and they become experts in their own right.
That's wonderful. Well, as we close, Joe, will you please share your recommended first steps for viewers interested in working with business enterprise mapping?
Absolutely. So we typically begin the relationship with a senior leadership meeting where we talk about their goals, their objectives, what their problems and opportunities are, and where they think the likely source of the challenge will be. We craft what we call a roadmap out of that discussion, and the idea behind a roadmap is we want to frame that puzzle that I referred to earlier, where we're understanding what business systems are in place in the organization, what business processes exist inside those systems, and how we might structure in efforts to go solve that problem.
Well, Joe, Dawn, it sounds like business enterprise mapping has a long and successful history of transforming companies to rapidly deliver improved and sustainable performance. Congratulations, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
Thanks again for inviting us. Thank you.
It's been terrific.
Thank you. For Worldwide Business, I'm Kathy Ireland. Thank you for watching.